Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Volcanic deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an extremely consistent deck that can actually TK your opponent with the amount of burn damage you can do with this build. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Volcanic Emperor. Volcanic Emperor is an insane boss monster that has a crazy powerful effect that it cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand or your graveyard by banishing 3 pyro monsters or a blaze accelerator card from face up from your field or your graveyard. This card also can only be special summoned once per turn, and it has a crazy powerful burn effect. And if this card is summoned this way, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent for each banished pyro monster. Then you can set a volcanic trap directly from your deck, which is an awesome ability to instantly set volcanic emission directly from your deck to your side of the field. Also, each time your opponent special summons a monster, you inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent, which is a crazy powerful ability. We then play 3 copies of Volcanic Trooper. Trooper is definitely a 3-of in the deck and the best normal summon in the entire build, as if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually add a volcanic card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is an awesome ability to grab the exact card that you need. You can also discard a card and then special summon a token to your opponent's side of the field. It's a Pyro Fire level 1, 1000 attack and 1000 defense to your opponent's side of the field, and each time one of those tokens is destroyed, its controller takes 500 points of damage, which is an insane ability just to do more burn damage to your opponent. We then play a single copy of Volcanic Rocket. You only need a single copy of this card in the build since our main normal summon is going to be Trooper. This card is really good in the build though, because when it's summoned to your side of the field, you get to add a Blaze Accelerator card from your deck or your graveyard to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Scattershot. Scattershot is definitely a 3-of in the build, and this card just helps you board wipe your opponent while also doing 1500 points of burn damage to your opponent, which is absolutely insane. We then play 3 copies of Rimfire. Rimfire is definitely a 3-of in the build as well, and this card is really good in the deck because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. But you can banish this card from the graveyard, and if you do, send a volcanic monster from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of this card, or banish a Blaze Accelerator card from face up from your field or graveyard, or face up from the field or the graveyard, and if you do, place a Blaze Accelerator continuous spell or trap from your hand or deck face up on your side of the field, which is a great effect to instantly get the exact card you want on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Volcanic Shell. Volcanic Shell is such a powerful 3-of for the consistency of the deck that you can once per turn pay 500 life points to add a Volcanic Shell from your deck to your hand, but this card has to be in the graveyard to activate this effect. But it's still really good in the build as a 3-of to help you get more fire monsters into your hand, so you can use them for cost for different effects. We then play 3 copies of the Fire Channeler. Fire Channeler is really good as a searcher in the build because this card has the ability you can discard this card and one other fire monster to add a fire monster from your deck to your hand with higher attack than the other discarded monster, which is a really easy thing when we have cards like Volcanic Shell that have so low attack points. We then play a single copy of Greater Inari Fire. Greater Inari Fire is such a powerful 1-of in the deck as it helps us get to our copy of our Spiritual Art Fire, which is such a really powerful card to help us basically do more burn damage to the opponent, and this card can actually be summoned directly from the deck off its own effect, which is absolutely crazy. This card has the ability you can special summon this card from your hand or your deck by sending a face-up spellcaster monster and one face-up level 4 or lower fire monster you control to the graveyard, and when this card is special summoned by its effect, you can actually inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of one monster they control, your choice. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can actually add a Spiritual Fire Art card or a Possessed Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, but we're always searching out the copy of the Spiritual Fire Art directly from our deck to our hand so we do more burn damage with the opponent. We can play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3-of in the build to basically just use this card to stop the opponent from touching the deck. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good as a 1 in the deck to basically just stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then played 2 copies of Fire Recovery. Fire Recovery is really cool in the deck as a 2-of because this card helps you out with the consistency of the deck, letting you target a fire monster in your graveyard and then you get to send a card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster, which is a great effect to be able to use this card basically as a monster reborn. It's very good in this build, especially with cards like Volcanic Shell in your hand, to be able to pay the cost for this card's effect. You can also banish this card from the graveyard and then target 3 of your fire monsters that's banished and or in your graveyard and shuffle them in the deck, and then draw a card, which is a great effect to help you recycle cards like Scattershot. We then play just a single copy of Blaze Accelerator. This card is a little bit of a brick in the deck, but you need to play a single copy in the build. We then play 3 copies of Fire Ejection. Fire Ejection is definitely a 3-of in the build and such a powerful card to be able to play in the deck, as this card has the effect that you send a Pyro monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if you send a Volcanic monster to the graveyard, you can actually apply one of these effects to inflict damage to your opponent equal to its level times 100, or special summon a token to your opponent's side of the field that's a Pyro Fire level 1, 1000 attack and 1000 defense to your opponent's side of the field, and each time one is destroyed, its controller takes 500 points of damage, which is such a powerful ability. We then play 3 copies of Volcanic Blaze Accelerator. Volcanic Blaze Accelerator is definitely a 3-of in the build, and this card just helps out a lot in the deck. You activate this card by sending a Blaze Accelerator from your hand or deck or face up from your field to the graveyard to instantly put this card on your side of the field. You can only control 1 of it, but once per turn during your main phase, you can actually special summon a Volcanic monster from your hand. And once per turn, you can actually target a face-up monster your opponent controls, send a level 1 Pyro monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that monster, which is a great effect. We then also play 3 copies of Bonfire. Bonfire is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card is basically the Rhoda for the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of the Spiritual Fire Art. Spiritual Fire Art is definitely a 1-of in the build to help you do more burn damage to your opponent. This card has the ability you can actually tribute a fire monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack, which is a great effect to be able to tribute your copy of your Volcanic Emperor to do 3,100 points of damage to your opponent by just using Volcanic Emperor plus this card, which is absolutely crazy. We then play 2 copies of Volcanic Emission. Volcanic Emission is searchable with your copy of Volcanic Emperor, and this card is just really good to be able to play in the deck. So you activate 1 of these effects, but you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. But you can take a Volcanic monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions, but return it back to the hand during the end phase, or you target a Pyro monster on the field and inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack, and if you targeted a monster you control, the damage is halved, which is a little bit of a downside, but it still does a lot of burn damage to your opponent. We then play 2 copies of Blaze Accelerator. Blaze Accelerator is really good to be able to play 2 copies of Reload. Reload is such a powerful card in the deck, as this card's name becomes Tri-Blaze Accelerator while it's in your spell and trap card zone, and also, during either player's main phase, you can actually send a Volcanic card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, draw a card. Also, during either player's main phase, you can actually banish this card from the graveyard to send a Volcanic card from your deck to the graveyard, which is an insane ability to be able to use this card to get the exact Volcanic card you want in the graveyard. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with a single copy of Bestower of Flames. Bestower of Flames is really good as a 1-of in the deck to be able to use because it helps us bring our fire monsters back from the graveyard to our side of the field so we can link climb. Plus this card is really powerful to be in the graveyard so you can summon it back to your side of the field and pop cards on the field. We'll make a single copy of Swarm Ship. Swarm Ship just works really well with our copy of Bestower of Flames. It's just a really powerful card overall. We'll make a single copy of Zelantis. Zelantis is just insane to be able to play in the deck to help you OTK. Using this card and your copy of Raging Phoenix is a really powerful line in the deck to help you OTK your opponent. We play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's amazing in this build to just basically help you OTK your opponent, as you can summon this card out to your side of the field, and it comes out absolutely massive, and it can pop multiple cards on the field. We play a single copy of Heat Soul. Heat Soul is amazing to help us draw additional cards. By just paying 1,000 life points, you can quick effect draw a card, which is insane to be able to do because you can activate this during either player's turn. We play a single copy of Selene. Selene is really good to be able to play in the deck, so you can bring back a spellcaster to your side of the field and help you link climb into cards like Access Code Talker to be able to OTK. This card is amazing in the build because you can actually bring back your copy of your Fire Channeler back to your side of the field, so you can basically go in for game using Access Code. We can play a single copy of Nightmare Phoenix to be able to pop spells and traps. We play a single copy of the Fire Charmer so we can link climb in the deck. This card is really good in the deck as a 1-of. One copy of the Dark Charmer just as an additional option in the deck to be able to summon out to our side of the field. One copy of Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf helps out a lot in the deck as a 1-of to be able to help us get to additional cards. One copy of SP Little Knight. If you don't have this card, you can change it out for Nightmare Unicorn just to spin cards off the field. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is really good in the deck as a 1-of to basically just use this card to step into SP Little Knight as another option, which is really good to be able to do, especially so you can get the bonus effect of SP Little Knight. But you can still play this card with Nightmare Unicorn if you decide to play Nightmare Unicorn over SP Little Knight. We play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is just a good option in the deck, especially with the amount of monsters we play in this deck that have low attack points. And then finally we play a single copy of Relinquished Anima. Relinquished Anima is actually part of the combos in the deck to be able to use to be able to summon out your copy of your Greater Inari Fire, because this card is a spellcaster monster and then you can use any of your other fire monsters to be able to summon out your copy of your Inari Fire directly from your deck by using Relinquished Anima and another fire monster. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Volcanic before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's an extremely powerful, fun deck and just really cool that you can actually build an entire Volcanic deck now because of all the amazing support. So that's going to do this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.